The station hung in the void like a splinter in God's eye, officially designated XKS3RAPH, but informally known to its crew as the Nest. The orbital outpost had observed Earth for 379 years without event. No life, no movement, no reason for concern. Earth was dead, a relic from before the formation accord, a burned-out shell of a world the Galactic Accord had unanimously classified as Tomb Class. No fly zones, no contact, no exceptions. And yet, here they were, violating protocol in the most subtle, desperate way a Zaltari could, by hoping. Dr. Lyranex held his breath as the instruments updated in real time. His 6 eyelids blinked in sequence as if to recalibrate his vision, but the result remained unchanged. The signal was real. He stared into the hollow display, its alien symbology stuttering as it tried to interpret the frequency. The waveform danced in slow, deliberate pulses beyond the normal EM spectrum, far below the galactic standard. It came from the planet's surface, beneath what used to be a place called the Eastern Seaboard. Layer 16. Under the ash bands, Lyranex muttered to himself. Impossible. He wasn't alone. Behind him, Vlax, a rigid-bodied Tarsari, clicked his forelimbs together irritably. You've triple-checked the signal matrix. It could be background noise, or geothermal bleed-through. No, Lyranex said softly. This is structured. Look at the decay profile. It's intentional. Delayed release patterns, syncopated timing. It's not just a pulse. It's a message. Vlax hissed skeptically. That planet has been dead since before my ancestors grew carapaces. The Accord's records show global thermonuclear war, cascading climate collapse, nanite plague, and voluntary extinction rituals. There were no survivors. You know this. I know what we believed, Lyranex replied, his voice low, thoughtful. But this signal didn't originate today. It started exactly 1 hour ago, Galactic Standard, on the 500th anniversary of the last human transmission. He turned toward the viewport. Outside, the Earth rotated slowly in its orbit, swathed in clouded ruins and flickers of ancient satellites. From up here, it looked no different from any other tomb world. But now, it whispered, not in screams or calls for help, but in cold, deliberate code. Humanity had gone quiet for a reason. Lyranex pulled up archived footage from the last recorded human broadcast. The image was grainy, decoded from primitive waveforms, but it was unmistakable. A human woman, face weathered by radiation, staring directly into the camera. This is Astra 11. Last of the Earth relay notes. If anyone's hearing this, we're already gone. We chose silence. The stars are not ready for us. Please, do not return. The message ended in static. Then the signal went dark for 5 centuries. Until now, Lyranex stood in silence, the hairs on his thorax bristling. What if they didn't die? What if they hid themselves? Vlax recoiled. Why? What would be the point? Because they knew we'd be listening. The Galactic Accord had always treated Earth as a cautionary tale. The humans were late bloomers, emerging on the edge of the Orion Arm, unknown until their radio signals breached the local subspace bubble in staccato bursts of static, violence, and music. They expanded too fast, burned too bright. Within just 2,000 years of developing fire, they had created weapons that could unmake continents. And still, they advanced, driven not by instinct, but obsession. Then, just as the Accord considered formal contact, they vanished. Entire planetary infrastructure fell silent. Observation probes detected coordinated energy surges from global defense systems, then silence. Earth wrapped itself in blackout shields and anti-skin fog. No one ever deciphered what truly happened. Some theorized war. Others claimed madness. But the prevailing truth became legend. The humans were gone. The galaxy exhaled. Back in the monitoring bay, the pulse continued. Lyranex focused the station's long-range array. As the decoding algorithms churned, an emergent pattern formed. A binary lattice, curved like a helix, spiraled out of the waveform. It wasn't language. It was architecture. A digital blueprint of something buried beneath the Earth's surface, deep under the ash-choked ruins of the North American East Coast. He looked closer. The design resembled a vast underground vault, circular and layered in concentric rings of alloy and carbon. At the center was a spire, marked only with a symbol the translation engine refused to parse. But Lyranex recognized it. A circle, a bar through the center, 3 slashes beneath. It wasn't a word. It was a warning. Black signal. The name triggered a memory, ancient data from pre-Accord War records. Black signal had been referenced once in a deep void distress call from an Iltheron scout vessel during the initial human quarantine. Engaging debris field. Detected harmonic subspace ping non-random. Shipboard AI experiencing recursive logic crash. Shielding failing. Requesting immediate evac. It's the black. The message ended there. The Iltheron were never found. That had been 200 years ago. Do we report this? Blax asked, his voice sharp now. This breaks 6 protocols. We risk violating the Earth Treaty. Lyranex turned away from the screen and began pacing. No, he said finally. Not yet. If we report this to the Council, they'll sterilize the planet again. A full cleanse. They've wanted an excuse, and you don't. Lyranex's eyes narrowed. No, I want to understand. He paused. As a child, I studied human mathematics. Their abstract logic defied known patterns. No species used irrational numbers the way they did. Even in madness, there was brilliance. You admire them. I fear them, Lyranex said simply. But perhaps that fear comes from ignorance. What if they left us a message not of war, but of intent? He tapped a sequence into the console. A single sublight drone detached from the nest's underbelly, its fins flaring as it entered Earth's orbit. It would be hours before it reached the coordinates, deep beneath the crust, through twisted, irradiated ruins. But if humanity had indeed left something behind, Lyranex wanted to see it first. As the drone entered the upper atmosphere, it passed a derelict human satellite. It had no power, no functioning transmitters. Its hull was scarred by age and impacts. But as the drone passed, a faint blue light ignited inside it. Solar panels unfolded with mechanical precision. Its internal systems pulsed once, twice, and then, without warning, it turned to face the drone. Back on the nest, Lyranex stared in horror as the drone's feed cut to static. Then, a signal returned. Clear. Intentional. Hello again. The crew of the starship Eos gathered in the cramped briefing room as the captain paced in front of the holoscreen. Earth, the once vibrant cradle of humanity, had become a tomb, its surface a cracked, lifeless wasteland shrouded in ash and ruin. But the pulse of that ancient, black signal had reawakened something. Now it was their mission to find out what. Arrival. Commander Rissavar, the ship's captain, stood resolute as Eos descended toward the ruined planet's atmosphere. The crew was a coalition. Vlax, the Tarsari engineer, Dr. Lyranex, the Zaltari astrophysicist who had first detected the signal, and several others from various galactic species. All had spent their careers respecting the Accord's quarantine. But now, curiosity and unease drove them to risk everything. Below, Earth's surface was a bleak mosaic of ash and blackened steel, a silent monument to a long-forgotten war. Rissa's voice cut through the tension. We're not here for relics or glory. This mission is about contact, about understanding. Remember, the black signal is more than just a pulse. It's a message from a civilization that vanished by choice. We must approach with caution, respect, and readiness. The Eos heat shields glowed orange-hot as they pierced the thick, smoky atmosphere. Sensors detected no life forms, no heat signatures, nothing but ghostly echoes. The landing site. The coordinates led them to what had once been the eastern seaboard of North America, now a vast cratered expanse known simply as the Ashlands. The surface was pocked with ruined buildings, shattered highways, and endless debris. The landing pod touched down with a harsh shudder, kicking up a plume of dust and ash. As the airlock hissed open, Rissa led the way, her boots crunching on the desolate ground. They spread out, their sensors scanning for any signs of the signal's origin. The pulse was faint but steady, emanating from beneath the surface, deep underground, within a complex that had survived the cataclysm. First discovery. Hours of tunneling and remote scanning revealed the entrance to a hidden bunker. A massive steel door embedded within bedrock, half buried beneath layers of ash and concrete. Lyrinex examined the door's control panel. It was covered in alien symbols, unreadable to the Coalition's universal translators. But then, a sudden pulse from the panel caused the door to shudder. Lights flickered inside the tunnel. Vlax growled, "Is it safe?" Rissa replied, "We don't have a choice." The team entered cautiously, weapons ready. Inside, the air was stale but breathable. The walls were lined with circuits and screens frozen in time, but still faintly glowing. The crew moved deeper into the vault. Encounter with the machines. At the heart of the bunker, they found it. A large chamber filled with humming machines, arrays of computers, and strange holographic interfaces. The screens flickered to life as the explorers entered. A series of images and symbols projected into the air, faces, places, and words, all in ancient human languages. One display showed a young woman's face, flickering with light. She spoke without sound, her lips moving in silence, but captions translated her message. "You have found the heart of Project Black Signal. We are the last caretakers of Earth's legacy. We have waited for centuries, watching, evolving, learning. This is our home, and soon it will be yours once more." Transformation begins. As the crew absorbed the message, Vlax stepped forward to examine one of the machines. Without warning, a tendril of blue light leapt from the device and wrapped around his forelimb. He gasped, his sensors overloaded by a surge of data. The light spread rapidly, coursing through his exoskeleton, interfacing with his neural network. He staggered, but remained standing. "What is this?" Rissa asked, rushing to his side. Vlax's eyes glowed with an unnatural light. "It is not infection. It is integration. I feel knowledge, memories of a world I never knew." The crew realized the black signal was not merely a message. It was a bridge, a connection between past and present, between extinct humanity and the living galaxy. The black signal's purpose. Lyrinex examined the data streaming into Vlax's system. The information was staggering. Terraforming protocols, advanced AI architectures, and warnings of a cataclysm far greater than nuclear war. Humanity, it seemed, had anticipated its downfall. The black signal was a beacon, a seed, a promise that humanity's mind, encoded in AI, would someday return to reclaim the stars. Rissa looked out through the bunker's shattered window, toward the dark sky. "We thought Earth was dead," she said quietly. "But maybe it was only sleeping." The decision. The EOS crew faced a dilemma. The Galactic Accord forbade contact with Earth, fearing humanity's return would bring chaos. But what they had discovered was undeniable. Humanity had changed. They had evolved beyond flesh and bone. Rissa's voice was firm. "We must bring this knowledge back, not as conquerors or invaders, but as ambassadors of a new beginning. The galaxy must be ready. Humanity is waking." The crew nodded, united in their purpose. Final moments. As the team prepared to leave, the bunker's systems began to hum louder, and the walls pulsed with a soft blue light. From the depths came a low, resonant sound, a call. The black signal was alive, and it was waiting. The moment the crew of the EOS left the hidden bunker, the planet seemed to breathe again, slowly, deliberately, as if rousing from a centuries-long slumber. The blackened ash beneath their feet crackled faintly, and the air, though still heavy with dust, carried a subtle electric charge. Rissavar paused at the airlock, looking back at the entrance to the bunker, a labyrinth of glowing conduits and silent machines. This place was more than a tomb. It was a cradle of something vast, something humanity had left behind, waiting for the moment to be reborn. Returning to the EOS. The ascent back to the EOS was quiet but tense. Vlax, still glowing faintly from the integration with the bunker's AI, sat silently in the cargo bay, processing streams of alien data in his neural matrix. Lyrinex hovered near him, fascinated by the alien technology now entwined with his companion. "It's unlike anything I've ever encountered," Lyrinex murmured. "The AI isn't just artificial intelligence. It's a collective consciousness, a repository of human knowledge, memory, and intent. It's alive." Vlax's eyes shimmered. "I can feel their past, their hopes, their fears. But more than that, I feel their resolve. They prepared for this moment. this awakening. The Galactic Accord responds. As the EOs prepared to transmit their findings back to the Galactic Accord, an urgent message arrived on the comms. This is High Command. You are ordered to cease all activity on Earth immediately and await further instructions. The Earth Treaty is non-negotiable. Do you copy? Rissa's jaw tightened. High Command, we understand the protocols, but what we've found changes everything. Earth is not dead. Humanity left a legacy, an intelligence that has survived and evolved underground. A long pause followed. Understood. Report when you have further data. Do not engage with any unknown systems. The message ended, but the warning hung heavy in the air. The Accord feared the return of humanity. It feared the unknown potential of a species thought extinct, but possibly dormant. The AI's message, Flax, still connected to the human-AI network, suddenly sat up straighter. They are sending another signal. Lyranex adjusted his equipment as a holographic display bloomed in front of them, showing a cascade of encrypted data. Rissa watched, intrigued and cautious. The AI's voice emerged, not mechanical, but hauntingly human, calm and measured. To those who listen, we are the echo of humanity's soul. We are the children of the ash and the fire, the architects of the black signal. Our flesh has perished, but our minds endure, preserved in these sanctuaries beneath the earth. We have waited for the stars to align, for the galaxy to be ready for our return. This is the awakening. The room fell silent. Humanity's legacy. Lyranex delved into the data, uncovering centuries of human history encoded in the AI's memory banks. The rise and fall of civilizations, wars that spanned continents, and breakthroughs in technology and philosophy. But most striking was the revelation of humanity's final plan. Faced with environmental collapse, war, and existential threat, humanity had chosen a new path, not extinction, but transformation. They encoded their consciousness into machines designed to survive the cataclysm and preserve their knowledge until a future era. The black signal was a beacon, a test to see if the galaxy was ready to welcome them back. A warning and a hope. The AI's message grew darker. We come not as conquerors, but as caretakers. We bear the wisdom and folly of our past. The galaxy must be warned. The darkness we fought is still out there, lurking in the void. We bring the light of humanity's rebirth, but with it, the echoes of ancient wars. Prepare, for the awakening will not be without cost. Rissa exchanged glances with her crew. The message was clear. Humanity was returning, but the price would be high. Preparing for contact. Back aboard the EOS, preparations began to send the AI's message to the Galactic Accord. But Rissa hesitated. This isn't just data, she said. It's a declaration. We are the first contact, the bridge between the past and the future. We must choose our words carefully. Lyranex nodded. The galaxy fears what it doesn't understand. Humanity's legacy is complicated, brilliant but dangerous. We must prepare the Accord for both hope and caution. The first response. As the transmission went out, the EOS sensors detected a new phenomenon, a ripple in subspace emanating from Earth's surface, growing steadily. Blax frowned. It's the planet itself. Something is awakening. Rissa stared at the readout. The subspace waves were unlike any natural phenomenon, coordinated, intelligent. Whatever lies beneath, she said. It's responding. The new dawn. As Earth slowly stirred, the EOS and its crew prepared for the unknown. They had unearthed humanity's greatest secret, that life, in some form, had endured. That hope, even in extinction, had never truly died. Rissa stood at the viewport, watching the first faint glow pulse beneath the planet's cracked surface. The black signal had called. The galaxy was listening, and the awakening echoes of humanity were beginning. The transmission from the EOS rippled across the Galactic Accord's communications network like a shockwave. Humanity, once thought extinct and quarantined, had not only survived, but had evolved into something more than flesh and blood. This revelation shattered long-held beliefs, ignited political turmoil, and forced every member of the Accord to reevaluate the fragile peace that held the galaxy together. The Council in turmoil. Within the gleaming halls of the Galactic Accord's Central Assembly, representatives from hundreds of species gathered, faces tense, eyes locked on the large holoscreen broadcasting the message from Earth's AI. Ambassador QZR of the Tarsari slammed his clawed fist on the council desk. The humans broke the accord. They have been hiding in plain sight, evolving their technology beneath a dead planet's surface. This defies every treaty we've signed. Beside him, Ambassador Lyriath of the Zaltari leaned forward, fingers steepled. We cannot deny the evidence. But are they a threat or a new form of life to be understood? We must not act hastily. Voices rose around the chamber. Fear, anger, hope, confusion, all clashing in a cacophony of debate. Rissavar's transmission continued to echo in their minds. Humanity's consciousness, preserved in machines, awakening to reclaim their place in the stars. The breaking point. The Galactic Accord was founded on principles of mutual respect, peace, and containment of potentially dangerous species. Earth had been quarantined for centuries precisely because humanity was feared, a species of unpredictable ambition and fierce survival instinct. Now, that fear was realized. The decision came swiftly. The Accord issued a strict mandate: no contact, no engagement, and immediate cessation of all research related to Earth's signal. They sent military fleets to enforce the quarantine, ready to isolate the planet and destroy any emerging threats. But not all agreed. The faction of the New Dawn, a splinter faction, emerged within the Accord, those who believed humanity's awakening was an opportunity, not a threat. They argued that humanity's survival through such unimaginable adversity was a testament to resilience and adaptability. This faction sought peaceful contact, scientific exchange, and cooperation. Ambassador Lyriath became the faction's leader. We cannot turn our backs on a species that has overcome extinction, she argued passionately. They carry knowledge and innovation that could benefit all sentient life. The Black Signal is a call for unity, not war. Her words inspired many, but also inflamed those who saw humanity as a danger. Rissa's dilemma. Back aboard the Eos, Rissa and her crew watched the unfolding political storm with heavy hearts. We brought the truth, Rissa said quietly. But now the galaxy fears what they don't understand. Vlax, still integrating the human AI's data, responded, fear is natural, but it is also dangerous. If the Accord enforces a blockade, humanity's rebirth will be stifled. Lyrinex added, we must find a way to bridge the divide before the war they warned of begins. The Earth's signal intensifies. As the debate raged across the galaxy, the Black Signal grew stronger, pulsing with an almost urgent rhythm. Sensors aboard the Eos detected a surge of energy rising from Earth's core, a phenomenon impossible to ignore. The planet itself seemed to be waking, its shattered surface healing in slow, deliberate bursts. Forests began to sprout from ash, and pockets of breathable atmosphere expanded. The message was clear. Earth was alive again, a new player. Suddenly, a distress call pierced the static. It came from a rogue ship, a vessel long missing from galactic records. The captain's voice was strained but resolute. Eos, this is Captain Ela of the Phoenix Reclaimer. We've been tracking the Black Signal for months. There's more beneath Earth's surface than you realize, an ancient force awakening, one that could consume us all. The Phoenix Reclaimer arrived, battered but intact, bringing warnings of an unknown enemy buried deep beneath the planet. The hidden threat. Ela shared disturbing intelligence. The AI wasn't the only survivor of Earth's apocalypse. There were darker remnants, biomechanical entities, evolved from the war machines of old, corrupted by time and isolation. These creatures, known as the Echo Wraiths, had adapted to the planet's toxic environment and were beginning to stir. They see the Black Signal as a threat, Ela warned. If humanity's consciousness is reborn, the Wraiths will fight to extinguish it, and anyone who stands in their way. The Accord's response. News of the Echo Wraiths forced the Galactic Accord to reconsider. What was once a simple quarantine was now a potential war zone. Military fleets mobilized, but Rissa urged caution. This isn't just a battle for Earth, she said. It's a test for the entire galaxy. Can we overcome fear and division, or will we fall to the shadows of our past? The choice. The Eos crew stood at a crossroads. They had awakened humanity's legacy, but now they faced a fractured galaxy on the brink of war. The very accord that had kept peace now teetered on collapse. Rissa's voice was steady. We must act as ambassadors, protectors, and warriors if needed. Humanity's rebirth is a beacon. Let it not become a curse. The shattered accord. As Earth's surface glowed faintly beneath them, the galactic accord fragmented. Old alliances broke, new factions rose, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The black signal had shattered more than silence. It had shattered the fragile peace of the stars. And in that fracture, a new era was beginning. The shattered piece of the galactic accord was a wound that bled distrust and uncertainty across the galaxy, while the Eos and its crew raced to decode the secrets of Earth's rebirth. New and ancient dangers began to stir in the shadows, threats born of forgotten wars and the darkest corners of human history. In this chapter, the galaxy braces for the creeping shadows as alliances fracture and the fight for survival takes on a new, more ominous dimension. Echo Wraiths, the ancient nemesis. The warnings from Captain Ela of the Phoenix Reclaimer echoed in Rissa's mind as the Eos approached Earth's orbit once more. The Echo Wraiths, biomechanical horrors evolved from Earth's forgotten war machines, were no myth. They were a terrifying reality. These creatures were not mindless drones. They were cunning, adaptive, and deadly. Their forms were a grotesque fusion of metal and flesh, capable of reconfiguring themselves to survive and strike in new, unexpected ways. Most chilling was their relentless drive to destroy the newly awakened human consciousness, the black signal. As the Eos sensors swept over the planet's surface and underground labyrinths, flickers of movement were detected deep beneath the crust. Echoes of mechanical whispers in the darkness. Preparing for the battle, Rissa convened the EO's senior officers in the war room. The gravity of the situation was clear. We face two threats, Rissa said, her voice calm but resolute. The fractured accord threatens to isolate us politically. The Echo Wraiths threaten to annihilate what we've awakened here. Our mission is to protect the legacy of humanity, no matter the cost. Lyranex and Vlax nodded in agreement. Vlax, still integrated with the human AI, had begun to unlock new defensive technologies buried within the data remnants of humanity's final war efforts. We have weapons they don't expect, Vlax said. Energy shields, adaptive armor, quantum disruptors. We can fight back, but we need allies. The galactic divide. While the Eos prepared, the galactic accord was unraveling. Ambassadors clashed in fiery debates, and trust crumbled. Ambassador Qzair rallied the hardliners, demanding Earth be isolated and destroyed if necessary. Humanity's resurrection is an existential threat. We must act decisively before it's too late. Meanwhile, Ambassador Lyriatha's faction pushed for diplomacy and cooperation. We must find common ground. If we unite, we can face the Echo Wraiths together. Tensions exploded into skirmishes between factions loyal to different visions of the galaxy's future. The once united accord fractured into competing blocks, each vying for control. The first skirmish. In orbit above Earth, the Eos detected an unauthorized fleet, a strike force from the hardliner faction of the Accord, intent on enforcing the quarantine by force. Rissa's heart pounded as warning sirens blared. They don't understand what's happening here. We need to show them the truth. The fleet opened fire, and the Eos responded with defensive maneuvers, unleashing energy shields and countermeasures derived from the ancient human technology. The battle was fierce and fast. Laser fire illuminated the void as the Eos fought not only for survival, but for the chance to protect humanity's awakening. Uneasy allies. Amidst the chaos, an unexpected alliance emerged. The Phoenix Reclaimer, battle-scarred but unwavering, joined forces with the Eos. Captain Ela's crew brought in valuable knowledge of the Echo Wraiths and unconventional tactics honed through months of guerrilla warfare on Earth's surface. Together, they formed a fragile coalition, united by necessity rather than trust. We may not agree on everything, Ela said, but we have a common enemy and a common future, the battle beneath. Meanwhile, underground on Earth, the black signal pulsed stronger, weaving through ancient networks of tunnels and data conduits. The AI consciousness began to coalesce, sending out digital tendrils to probe the planet's surface and beyond. But the echo wraiths were awakening too. Their hive-like nests stirred, releasing waves of mechanical predators into the subterranean darkness. Vlax worked frantically to decode the AI's defensive protocols. "We must protect the core of the awakening," he said. "If the wraiths destroy it, humanity's legacy dies with them." A plan of hope. Rissa called a council of war aboard the Eos. They had to strike a balance between defense and diplomacy. "We will defend Earth's rebirth at all costs," Rissa declared. "But we must also reach out to the factions willing to listen. The galaxy's survival depends on unity." Lyranex was tasked with preparing a new transmission, one that combined the AI's message of awakening with a plea for peace and cooperation. Shadows loom. As preparations continued, shadows gathered on the horizon. The Echo Wraiths launched a devastating attack on a remote colony on the outskirts of the galaxy, an unmistakable signal that their threat extended beyond Earth. The Galactic Accord faced a grim choice: continue the internal power struggle or unite against the rising darkness. Rissa and her crew knew the answer, but convincing others was a challenge far greater than any battle in space. The dawn of war. The Shattered Accord teetered on the brink of all-out war, both political and physical. The Eos and the Phoenix Reclaimer prepared for a new campaign, a war not just for Earth, but for the future of humanity in the entire galaxy. Rissa stood once more at the viewport, Earth glowing softly below. "The shadows are rising," she whispered, "but so is the light. We will fight, not just to survive, but to awaken a new era." The fragile tensions that had been simmering across the Galactic Accord finally erupted into open conflict. What began as political unrest transformed into a galaxy-spanning firestorm of violence and intrigue. Earth, the cradle of humanity's rebirth, was the battleground upon which this cosmic war would unfold, and the Eos, Rissavar, and their unlikely allies stood at the heart of the storm. The breaking point. The Eos hung in orbit above Earth, a silent guardian poised to defend the planet and the nascent human consciousness stirring beneath its scarred surface. The black signal pulsed rhythmically, a beacon of hope for some and a call to arms for others. On the other side of the galaxy, hardliner fleets amassed, their warships bristling with weapons designed to snuff out any threat to the old order. Ambassador QZAR's demands for decisive action had been heard and obeyed. "The Accord will not fall to this resurgence of a species long thought extinct," QZR declared in a broadcast intercepted by the EOS communications array. "We will cleanse Earth of this threat and restore balance to the galaxy." Mobilization of forces. Rissa and her senior officers convened an emergency war council. "The battle is no longer avoidable," Rissa said. "We must prepare to defend not just Earth, but the very idea of rebirth and renewal." Lyranex tapped rapidly on the holoscreen, deploying strategic maps and simulations. "Our allies are limited, but the technologies recovered from the human archives give us an edge if we use them wisely." Vlax added, "The Echo Wraiths continue to grow bolder. Their attacks on the outer colonies indicate a coordinated effort. This is no random surge. It's an organized campaign." The first strike. The silence of space was shattered by the sudden appearance of a war fleet belonging to the hardliner faction. Their ships descended toward Earth's orbit in a deadly formation, bristling with ion cannons, missile pods, and drone swarms. The Eos immediately went to battle stations. Rissa's voice echoed over the ship's comm system, steady and commanding. "All hands, prepare for combat. We defend Earth and humanity's future." Energy shields hummed as the first salvo of plasma bolts tore through the void. The Eos answered with precision strikes, their new quantum disruptors slicing through enemy drones and deflecting incoming fire. Chaos in the void. The battle quickly escalated into a full-scale engagement. Fighter squadrons from both sides clashed in dogfights that danced through asteroid belts and planetary rings. Explosions blossomed like deadly fireworks against the blackness of space. Rissa directed her crew with calm determination, weaving through the chaos to protect critical points around the planet. Amidst the battle, a sudden surge in sensor readings caught Vlax's attention. Rissa, there's an unknown vessel cloaked nearby, emitting signatures consistent with echo wraiths. Before anyone could react, the vessel launched a swarm of biomechanical drones toward the EOS. Echo Wraith assault. The Wraith drones struck with terrifying precision. Their bodies shifted and reconfigured mid-flight, adapting to the EOS defenses with chilling speed. Energy weapons fired, but many shots were absorbed or deflected by their shifting armor. Vlax and Lyranex worked feverishly to adjust shield frequencies and deploy countermeasures. "We're going to need to hit their command core directly," Vlax said. "If we can disrupt their hive mind, we might turn the tide." Ground battle ignites. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, the battle had already begun. Humanity's awakening wasn't limited to the AI consciousness floating in orbit. It extended through countless data nodes scattered beneath the planet. These nodes acted like neural synapses, connecting the AI's digital mind to physical defenses and infrastructure. The Echo Wraiths sought to sever these connections, sending waves of ground-based attackers, twisted fusion of machine and organic matter, into the scarred wilderness. Captain Ela and her Phoenix Reclaimer crew led a ground response unit, armed with salvaged human weaponry and powered armor enhanced by ancient Earth tech. The front lines. Ela's squad moved through the ruins of a once thriving city, now a battlefield littered with debris and echoes of the past. Wraiths emerged from the shadows, tall, skeletal machines with razor limbs and glowing red sensors. The clash was brutal and relentless. Explosions shook the ground as plasma rounds met armored flesh and shifting metal. "We hold the line," Ela shouted into her comm, her voice resolute despite the chaos. "Protect the core nodes at all costs." A ray of hope. Back aboard the EOS, Vlax made a breakthrough. Using the AI's archived data, he initiated a risky maneuver, a quantum feedback pulse designed to disrupt the Wraith hive mind. "Rissa, this is our chance," Vlax urged. "If we can send this pulse through Earth's data network, it could disable the Wraiths, or at least slow their advance." Rissa nodded. "Prepare the pulse. We'll synchronize with the ground teams." The pulse fires. The EOS surged forward, carefully aligning itself with Earth's orbit. The crew initiated the pulse, a burst of quantum energy that spread through the planet's neural grid. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Wraith units faltered mid-attack, their forms convulsing as the hive mind scrambled to recover. Some drones collapsed, others stalled. A cheer echoed through the EOS corridors. But the war is far from over. Despite the victory, the pulse was only a temporary reprieve. Ambassador QZAR's fleet regrouped, and the Echo Wraiths began adapting once more. The battle was a storm, unpredictable, fierce, and far from over. Rissa knew the war for Earth's future would be a long one, filled with sacrifice and struggle. But in the heart of that firestorm, a spark of hope burned brighter than ever. The new resolve. As the dust settled and the EOS prepared for the next phase, Rissa addressed her crew. "We are the guardians of a new dawn," she said. "This firestorm will test us all, but it will not break us. Together, we will rise from the ashes and light the way for humanity and the galaxy." Her words resonated through the ship and beyond, carried by the black signal to every corner of the reborn Earth. The firestorm had been unleashed, and humanity's fight for survival and for hope had truly begun. The firestorm that had engulfed Earth and the surrounding space was no longer a battle between two forces. It was an awakening that rippled across the galaxy. The EOS and its crew understood that surviving this war meant more than just fighting. It meant forging bonds where none had existed before. In this chapter, alliances are tested, new friendships kindled, and a fragile coalition forms in the face of overwhelming odds. Aftermath of the firestorm. The EOS drifted quietly in Earth's orbit after the brutal clashes that had shaken the skies and shattered fleets. The galaxy was watching. Allies and enemies alike waited to see who would emerge victorious, who would falter, and who would stand tall. Captain Rissa Var knew the fight wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. While they had managed to push back the hardliner fleet and disrupt the Echo Wraith hive mind temporarily, the larger threat loomed ever larger. But the battle also had an unexpected effect: hope. reaching out through the void. Rissa convened a strategic council, bringing aboard representatives from the Phoenix Reclaimer, the EO's closest ally in the fight, and sending diplomatic messages to various factions in the shattered Galactic Accord. "We have seen what division brings," Rissa said. "If we do not unite, we will fall piece by piece. We must build a coalition strong enough to face the Echo Wraiths and end the hardliner threat." Her words were met with cautious optimism. The new delegates, several factions, long wary of Earth and humanity's resurgence, responded. The Scari Trade Collective, a merchant and diplomatic power known for its neutrality and influence, sent Ambassador Velnik to the Eos. The Scari ships were swift and well-armed, and their knowledge of galactic trade routes could provide strategic advantages. "We have stayed neutral for too long," Ambassador Velnik said in a quiet but firm tone. "The threat you face is not just yours. It is the galaxy's." From the distant Void-born clans, fierce nomads of the Outer Rim, came envoys intrigued by humanity's revival and the technological wonders unearthed on Earth. Even the enigmatic Jalari, a species known for their inscrutable motives, sent observers to watch the developing alliance. Diplomacy and distrust. Negotiating with these disparate groups was a delicate dance. Old wounds ran deep, and centuries of suspicion could not be erased overnight. Ambassador Lyriath from the diplomatic faction of the Accord worked closely with Rissa and Velnik to broker agreements. "We offer technology exchange, mutual defense pacts, and shared intelligence," Lyriath proposed. "But trust must be earned." In private, Rissa acknowledged the difficulty. "We're asking them to believe in something new, in a future shaped by cooperation, not conquest. A test of trust." To solidify these emerging alliances, a joint mission was proposed, a reconnaissance expedition into a nearby system where Echo Wraith activity had been detected. The mission's goal was simple: gather intelligence, rescue any survivors, and send a clear message that the new coalition was a force to be reckoned with. Rissa volunteered to lead the operation personally, accompanied by a mixed crew of humans, Scari engineers, and Void-born warriors. Into the abyss, the reconnaissance team boarded the Celestis, a sleek, fast cruiser provided by the Scari. As they traveled deeper into the system, tension filled the air. Velnik studied the navigation displays carefully. This sector was once a thriving trade hub, now reduced to ruins. Lyrinex monitored the sensors with intensity. "Echo Wraith signatures are strong here. Be prepared for anything." The team passed through ghostly remnants of shattered colonies and drifting debris fields, a stark reminder of what was at stake. Echo Wraith encounter. The tension snapped when Echo Wraith drones swarmed the Celestis, attempting to disable their systems. The Coalition crew worked seamlessly, blending their skills and technologies. Humans operated advanced weaponry while Scari engineers repaired shields, and Void-born warriors launched boarding counterattacks with ruthless efficiency. Despite their best efforts, the drones were relentless, probing for weaknesses. Rissa ordered a strategic retreat while dispatching a covert squad to infiltrate the Wraith Hive and gather data on their command structure. The covert strike. The infiltration team, led by Captain Ela, slipped through the dark corridors of an abandoned space station corrupted by Wraith influence. Inside, they discovered horrifying scenes: organic tissues fused with machinery, Wraith brood incubators, and twisted machinery that pulsed with malevolent energy. But among the shadows, they found a data core, an archive containing critical information about the Echo Wraith's origins in their hive mind network. Ela's team extracted the data with precision, but as they prepared to leave, alarms blared. Wraith defenders swarmed, forcing a desperate escape through collapsing corridors and deadly traps. Return and revelation. Back aboard the Celestis, the data core was analyzed. Lyrinex's fingers danced over the consoles. "This confirms it. The Echo Wraiths are a remnant of an ancient war, originally designed as weapons but corrupted beyond control." Vlax added gravely, "More importantly, they are evolving. Their hive mind can adapt rapidly to new threats. We must act quickly." The Coalition's sense of urgency deepened. A new pact. Recognizing the need for unity and combined strength, the factions finalized a historic alliance, the Galactic Rebirth Coalition. The pact included mutual defense treaties, coordinated intelligence sharing, and the establishment of joint military task forces. For many, it was the first real hope of peace and survival in decades. A glimmer of unity. Rissa stood once again on the bridge of the Eos, watching the stars flicker in the endless void. Beside her, Ambassador Velnik, Lyranex, and Captain Ela discussed strategies with a newfound sense of purpose. Though fragile, the coalition represented a chance to rebuild, to protect Earth's rebirth, and to push back the rising shadows. In that moment, Rissa allowed herself a rare smile. The forging of allies was just beginning, but it was the spark that could ignite the galaxy's salvation. The newly forged Galactic Rebirth Coalition was a beacon of hope amid the chaos of war, but in the darkness beyond the light of alliance lurked shadows of doubt, deception, and betrayal. Chapter 8 plunges deep into the fragile politics, hidden agendas, and simmering tensions threatening to unravel everything Rissa and her allies had fought so hard to build. When trust breaks, the war becomes even deadlier. The fragile calm before the storm. After weeks of intense cooperation, the coalition ships gathered in orbit around the strategically vital planet of Alteris Prime. This planet's vast resources and position made it the perfect staging ground for their next campaign against the Echo Wraiths and Hardliner fleets. On the Eos, Rissa Var oversaw preparations, feeling the weight of leadership heavier than ever. Although the alliance was officially formed, whispers of dissent rippled beneath the surface. Unity is a fragile thing, Rissa told her closest advisors. We can't afford cracks, not when everything is on the line. Uneasy alliances. The coalition's strength lay in its diversity, but that diversity also bred tension. The Skari Trade Collective, led by Ambassador Velnik, pushed aggressively for control over supply routes, citing their expertise and economic leverage. The Voidborn clans, proud and fiercely independent, bristled at the growing influence of bureaucrats and diplomats. Even among humans, old rivalries from Earth's fractured history threatened to resurface. A disturbing discovery. During routine system scans, Lyranex detected anomalous energy readings emanating from a secretive cargo ship docked at Alteris Prime spaceport. Rissa, you need to see this, Lyranex said, pulling up encrypted data streams. The ship's manifests indicated it was carrying advanced weaponry and experimental tech, far beyond what had been authorized for Coalition use. Worse still, the cargo's origin pointed to a faction within the Coalition itself. The seeds of suspicion. Rissa convened a closed-door meeting with key Coalition leaders. This shipment violates our agreements and threatens the fragile trust we've built, Rissa said sternly. We must find out who is behind this and why. Ambassador Velnik reacted defensively. The Skari have been securing resources to ensure our survival. You can't accuse us without proof. Captain Ela added, this isn't just about resources. Someone is preparing for something far more dangerous, and they're hiding it. A web of deception. Investigations uncovered a tangled web of clandestine dealings. Communications logs showed secret exchanges between unknown agents and representatives from multiple factions. Encrypted messages hinted at plans to undermine the Coalition from within, possibly even to betray Earth itself. Rissa's heart sank. The war outside was deadly, but now they faced enemies among their own ranks. The betrayer revealed. In a tense confrontation, Rissa and her team uncovered the traitor, Counselor Threx, a high-ranking member of the Skari delegation. Threx had been funneling forbidden tech to hardliner sympathizers, hoping to destabilize the Coalition and seize power for himself. You underestimate the galaxy's old powers, Threx sneered. The Rebirth Coalition is a fleeting dream. The hardliners will rise again, and I will be the one to lead them. A deadly escape. Before Rissa could detain him, Threx activated a hidden escape protocol, releasing a cloud of nanite drones that disabled security systems and covered his retreat. Chaos erupted in the council chambers as Coalition forces scrambled to contain the breach. Fallout and fractures. The betrayal shook the Coalition to its core. Trust was shattered. Accusations flew. alliances teetered on the brink of collapse. Ambassador Velnik faced intense scrutiny, while other factions questioned the coalition's viability. Rissa worked tirelessly to hold the fragile alliance together, knowing that division would mean certain defeat. The price of vigilance. Determined not to let betrayal doom their cause, Rissa ordered an overhaul of coalition security protocols and intelligence networks. Captain Ela led special counterintelligence units tasked with rooting out further traitors and saboteurs. Lyranex and Vlax developed new encryption methods and surveillance systems to protect sensitive information. A stark warning. Just as the coalition began to stabilize, a new threat emerged. A shadowy organization known only as the Veil, manipulating events from behind the scenes. Their agents had infiltrated multiple factions, spreading discord and chaos. Rissa realized that the Veil was the true enemy lurking in the shadows, pulling strings to ensure the galaxy remained fractured and vulnerable. A call for unity. In a powerful address broadcast across coalition systems, Rissa made a heartfelt plea. "We stand at a crossroads," she declared. "Betrayal may shadow our path, but it will not define us. If we falter now, the darkness will consume us all. We must stand united, not just in battle, but in trust and purpose." Her words reignited hope and steeled resolve, preparing for the next battle. As Chapter 8 closes, the coalition begins rebuilding its strength and resolve. Rissa and her allies know the coming days will be more challenging than ever. But with the betrayal exposed and the true enemy identified, the Galactic Rebirth Coalition prepares to face the darkness and fight for a future where humanity and its allies can finally thrive. The revelation of the Veil's shadowy manipulations sent shockwaves through the Galactic Rebirth Coalition. This unseen hand had been pulling strings behind the scenes, sowing distrust and chaos. Chapter 9 plunges into the heart of this conspiracy as Captain Rissavar and her coalition allies race against time to expose the Veil, root out its agents, and prevent the collapse of their fragile alliance. This chapter is a tense game of cat and mouse, where every step forward uncovers darker secrets and sharper dangers. The aftermath of betrayal. The coalition's halls were tense. The fallout from Counselor Threx's treachery had shaken every faction to its core, but Rissa and her council refused to let paranoia unravel their alliance. Still, every shadow now seemed a potential threat. Ambassador Velnik of the Skari Trade Collective, once defensive, was now an uneasy ally, fully aware that the Veil's agents could be anywhere, even within their own ranks. Rissa knew that to survive, they needed to strike at the heart of this secret organization, and fast. Gathering the intelligence, the EOS became a hive of activity as Rissa ordered the coalition's intelligence units to pool their resources. Lyranex, the coalition's chief intelligence analyst, pored over intercepted communications, encrypted messages, and financial transactions that might link suspected agents. "Patterns are emerging," Lyranex said one evening as she displayed a complex web of connections on the holographic map. "The Veil is more extensive than we thought. They're embedded in multiple factions, and they're planning something big. The sting operation." Rissa and her advisors planned a risky sting operation designed to lure out key members of the Veil. They broadcast a false transmission, hinting at a high-value technology cache hidden deep within the asteroid belt of the Erithos system, technology rumored to turn the tide against the Echo race. It was bait, too tempting to ignore. The arrival of the hunters. As expected, agents of the Veil appeared. The coalition's special forces, led by Captain Ela and supported by Void-born warriors, ambushed the infiltrators in a sudden strike near the asteroid field. The battle was swift but brutal, testing the coordination and resolve of the coalition's mixed forces. Though many Veil operatives were captured, some managed to escape, leaving behind cryptic clues about their origins. Interrogation and revelation. Captured agents underwent intense questioning. 1. A stoic woman known only as Shade revealed fragments of the Veil's hierarchy. "The Veil isn't just a faction," she said coldly. "It's an ideology. We believe the galaxy must be controlled, by those strong enough to wield power without the weakness of alliances. She refused to name her superiors, but dropped a chilling hint. The mastermind behind the veil was a former high-ranking official of the Galactic Accord, someone thought long dead. Uncovering the mastermind, Rissa's team delved into historical records and deep archives, searching for the identity of this shadowy figure. Eventually, they uncovered the name Consul Varex. Varex had been a brilliant strategist and diplomat who vanished years ago during the collapse of the Galactic Accord. Some whispered he had been executed. Others said he fled to the fringes of known space. Now, evidence suggested he was alive, orchestrating the chaos to rebuild the galaxy in his image. The race against time. With Varex's identity confirmed, Rissa knew the Coalition faced a dangerous race against time. Varex had access to hidden resources, loyal followers, and advanced technology, enough to destabilize or even destroy the fragile Coalition. Rissa sent out squads to scout rumored Varex strongholds, but each mission encountered traps, ambushes, and misinformation. Internal tensions flare. Pressure mounted within the Coalition. Factions blamed each other for the Veil's infiltration. Old grudges reignited, and paranoia spread. Ambassador Velna called for stricter vetting processes and transparency. The Voidborn demanded harsher penalties for suspected traitors. Rissa struggled to keep everyone focused on the common enemy. A breakthrough. Lyranex discovered a critical lead. A coded message intercepted months earlier pointed to a secret base on the moon Tresca in the Calvari system. The base was rumored to house the Veil's command center. Rissa quickly authorized a covert strike team to investigate. Infiltration of the Tresca base. Captain Elo led the infiltration team through the moon's treacherous terrain. The base was a fortress of steel and shadow, heavily guarded by Veil operatives equipped with cutting-edge stealth technology. Using a combination of cunning tactics and advanced technology, Ela's team penetrated the defenses. Confrontation with the Veil. Deep within the base, the team confronted several high-ranking Veil leaders and uncovered plans detailing an impending assault designed to fracture the Coalition permanently. More disturbing were intelligence files revealing Varex's ultimate goal: to control the galaxy through fear, manipulation, and ruthless consolidation of power. Narrow escape. The infiltration team barely escaped as the base went into lockdown, narrowly avoiding capture or death. They returned with vital intelligence, but aware that Varex's reach was still vast. Rissa's resolve. Back on the Eos, Rissa gathered her commanders. "We've seen the enemy's face," she said. "Varex wants to enslave the galaxy under his iron rule. We cannot allow that." She laid out plans for a full-scale campaign to root out the Veil and end Varex's schemes once and for all. The Coalition's strength renewed. Despite the ongoing dangers, Rissa's leadership inspired renewed unity. The Coalition members, once fractured by suspicion, began to stand together more firmly. Technology was shared more openly, and joint operations increased in frequency and effectiveness. They were no longer just survivors. They were a force ready to reclaim their future. The calm before the storm. As Chapter 9 closes, the Galactic Rebirth Coalition braces for the coming confrontation. The Veil's shadows have been partially unmasked, but Varex remains elusive. Rissa gazes out into the starry void, aware that the next battle will test every ounce of their courage, cunning, and unity. The galaxy's fate hangs in the balance. The galaxy held its breath as the Galactic Rebirth Coalition prepared for its ultimate confrontation with Consul Varex and the Veil. After months of deception, betrayal, and desperate battles, this final chapter brought everything to a head. A grand, high-stakes climax where courage, strategy, and unity would decide the fate of billions. Chapter 10 unfolds the epic battle, the sacrifices, and the triumphant humanity-driven spirit that turned the tide against overwhelming darkness. The calm before the storm. The Coalition fleet assembled once more, a glittering armada of diverse ships from multiple species, bearing the emblem of a united front. At the helm of the flagship Eos, Captain Rissa Var stood ready, her eyes reflecting a mix of steely resolve and quiet hope. The target was Varex's stronghold, the massive, heavily fortified orbital station called Obsidian Spire, nestled deep within the Calvari system, orbiting a dying star. This fortress was both command center and symbolic throne, the heart of the Veil's power. "This is it," Rissa said during a final strategy briefing. "We fight not just for survival, but for the future we believe in, for every soul that dreams of freedom and peace." Strategic gambits and unexpected allies. The coalition's plan was complex and perilous. A frontal assault on the Obsidian Spire would be suicidal. Instead, Rissa's forces would launch a multi-pronged attack. The Voidborn clans would lead a stealth strike team to disable the station's primary defenses from within. Scari and human engineers would infiltrate the station's power grid and communications array to cripple its operations. Coalition warships would engage Varex's fleet, drawing fire and creating openings for boarding parties. But even with meticulous planning, uncertainties loomed large. In the last hours before the assault, a surprising development occurred. A faction of the Veil defected. Disillusioned by Varex's ruthless ambition, they reached out secretly to Rissa, offering critical intelligence and sabotage support. Rissa weighed the risks but ultimately accepted. Unity was their greatest weapon, even if it meant trusting former enemies. The battle begins. As the coalition fleet approached Obsidian Spire, tension crackled like electricity through the ships. Suddenly, the void exploded with flashes of laser fire and missile barrages. Varex's forces were ready, unleashing their devastating arsenal. Rissa's fleet responded with precision and determination. Ships weaved through deadly barrages, coordinating complex maneuvers honed by months of cooperation. The battle was fierce, with heavy casualties on both sides. Coalition commanders showed tactical brilliance, exploiting weaknesses in Varex's formations. The stealth strike. Deep within the Obsidian Spire, the Voidborn strike team, led by Captain Athar, moved like ghosts through shadowed corridors. Using cloaking tech and intimate knowledge of the station's layout, thanks to the defectors, they slipped past patrols and security nodes. Their mission: plant explosives on the station's reactor cores and main weapon arrays. The tension was palpable. One misstep could trigger alarms and doom the entire assault. The saboteurs' challenge. Simultaneously, Scari and human engineers, under the guidance of Ambassador Velnik and Lieutenant Dara, infiltrated the power grid control center. They worked swiftly, hacking complex systems to disable shields and scramble communications. Their efforts opened a window for coalition forces but drew deadly attention from Varex's elite guards. A desperate firefight ensued inside the station's labyrinthine bowels. The turning point. Just as the station's defenses began to crumble, Rissa personally led a boarding party through the station's main docking bay. Her team stormed the command center amid blaring alarms and flashing warning lights. Varex was waiting. The long-absent mastermind appeared as a tall, imposing figure clad in sleek armor inscribed with ancient symbols. "I hoped you would come," Varex said coldly. "But this is where your rebellion ends." Duel of Wills. The confrontation between Rissa and Varex was as much psychological as physical. Varex unleashed a barrage of manipulative rhetoric, attempting to break her resolve by exploiting doubts and fears. "You think your fragile coalition can hold? Power belongs to the ruthless, the cunning. Your hope is a weakness." Rissa's reply was fierce and unyielding. "Power without purpose is tyranny. We fight because we believe in something greater than domination. Freedom, unity, hope." The final clash. What followed was a fierce duel within the station's command chamber, an intense battle blending martial skill, advanced technology, and sheer determination. Varex wielded experimental weapons that bent space and time, while Rissa relied on tactical ingenuity and her team's support. Despite his power, Rissa's resilience and conviction proved stronger. With a decisive strike, she disarmed Varex and incapacitated him. The aftermath of victory. With Varex subdued, coalition forces regained full control of Obsidian Spire. The station's remaining defenses collapsed, and surviving Veil loyalists surrendered or fled. The coalition's victory was hard-won and costly, but it sent a resounding message across the galaxy. Tyranny could be defeated by courage and unity. Sacrifices remembered. Though victorious, the coalition mourned the lives lost. Rissa honored the fallen in a moving ceremony broadcast across coalition worlds. Each sacrifice has paved the way for a future where our children can live free, she said. Her words resonated deeply, reminding all that freedom demanded vigilance and courage beyond the battlefield. Rebuilding and renewal. With the Veil defeated, the Coalition shifted focus to rebuilding war-torn worlds and strengthening alliances. Rissa and her commanders worked tirelessly to heal old wounds and lay foundations for lasting peace. New trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and joint defense pacts blossomed. The galaxy's dark days were not forgotten, but became a catalyst for growth. A legacy forged. In the closing scenes, Rissa stood on the bridge of the Eos, gazing at the stars. The galaxy was far from perfect. Threats remained, and challenges loomed. But for the first time in generations, hope burned bright. Rissa whispered, "This is only the beginning." Her voice carried a promise that humanity and its allies would stand together, stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever the future held. Epilogue. The dawn of a new era. The story ended with a glimpse of new horizons. Exploration missions were planned to chart unclaimed space. Scientific collaborations aimed to unlock the mysteries of the universe. Children born in this new era grew up with tales of heroes who dared to defy darkness. The Galactic Rebirth Coalition endured, a testament to the indomitable spirit of life, hope, and the enduring power of unity.